Hello YouTube and welcome, my name is Zadarkus and I welcome you to my top supports for the patch 5.2. So let's get right into it. The first support in my list is Jana. Jana is the type of support that always does her job if played correctly, and she is rather easy to be played. She doesn't really need buffs or nerfs, but she is always useful as a support. You can peel for your AD carry, you can disengage really problematic team fights, as well use your ultimate as an aggressive ability. You have your shield, which is a great steroid for your AD carry. You have the slows, you have the knockups. It's a very versatile support and therefore she must be in this list. The most played spells on her are Flash and Exhaust, and the most typical mastery page I would recommend you to go, it's 9021. Now let's see what makes her good. To start off, she has a high mobility thanks to her passive. She's incredibly good at kiting, which makes an excellent pick against heavy melee team compositions. She has the ability to counter area of effect team compositions with her ultimate, which allows her to reset a team fight that is going bad. She can separate the enemy team front line from the back line, which may cause them to lose focus and positioning. It is really hard to gank her after 6 because of her ultimate and the tornado to kick the jungler away, and she has the ability to keep chasing and CCing a fleeing target. Now, what does make this magical support bad? What is not in her favor? Well, she has no real sustain for a support champion, just the shield. She requires some pinpoint reflexes and skill shots with her Q. She is heavily reliant on good decision making. One failed ultimate can lose you a game, and she has super short auto attack range. But overall she is one of the safest supports I could recommend you guys to play. Even new players, try this support out because she is really good. Let's move to the next one in my list, which is Leona. Yes, Leona, that beefy girl who stands in the lane giving no fucks and makes the other AD carry shit his pants whenever she starts moving towards him. The king of CC, or should I say queen of CC, that can change many team fights with her ultimate and all the stuns and some indirect buffs to the damage thanks to her doublet. But we all know Leona, it's not a new champion, so let's talk about her masteries. She normally goes really tanky, 0-21-9, and goes with Flash and Exhaust. Sometimes Ignite is as well an option on Leona. On her favor, Leona is one of the tankiest supports in the game. She has an incredible amount of crowd control. She takes advantage of mistakes made by the other team by preparing the chain CC for your team. And she has a large AoE stun, which can be nice with a proper team composition and proper team response. Sadly, she has no sustain in the lane for herself or the AD carry. She's considered a snowball support. Without kills in the lane, she tends to fall off to the middle late game. And by other words, you are an all-in champion. If you lose your lane, if the enemies are fed, you don't want to go all in on them. So you have to be in the back line just chilling out and maybe throwing a stun or another if they engage. So yeah, she wants to snowball so she can go all in. She has low base stat values for HP and her movement speed is very slow. If you follow behind early game, her ultimate is weak. You can start to engage if you are behind basically. But she is a really strong support with a lot of CC and a bully in the lane, at least a psychological bully. Even if you don't hit anyone, you can just scare them off. So she is a good pick if you want to have a burst lane with a Draven or Graves, where you just want to CC lock them and help your AD carry one-shot the enemies. The next one in my list is Annie. Yes, Annie. We all know Annie. There's no need to talk a lot about her, but you know, you have insane burst, your team fight potential is really high, you will be able to be up to par with the damage of the rest of your team, and you have some AoE CC if well played, and in the lane you are mostly a bully, but there is not much I need to tell you about Annie because I think most of the bot laners are sick of her. But she is still any. So her masteries normally are 9, 21, 0, with Flash and Ignite. Of course you can opt for the Exhaust, which is the typical support spell. In her favor, she is one of the highest auto attack range champions in the game, allowing her to put pressure and keeping enemies at bay with only your auto attacks. You can have a level 1 stun and you have high pressure in the lane. She is somewhat a natural tank if you go with some tanky items thanks to her E. She has Tibbers, which does some nice AoE damage and damage per second, but she can also control it, which can be used to block the damage from towers or just block enemy skill shots. She is very good at initiating teamfights and has some good base damage. If you get fed, you can go full AP and burst down people like AP mid Annie. And like I mentioned, she is a lane bully. Sadly, she has no stain, she has no escapes, very poor movability, and not the best AD carry protector out there. She is meant for aggressive lanes, aggressive players, and mean badass motherfuckers. Anyway, let's move to the next one. The next one in my list is Morgana. Again, a mid lane. Yeah, get past it. It's Morgana. Morgana with the 0921 in the masteries and the flash exhaust, sometimes ignite. Why Morgana? Well, we have Annie, we have Vel'Kozes as well, which are great. Not in my list, but they are great with insane damage, just a side note. You have Leonas with the stuns, Trash with the grabs, Blitzcranks with the grabs. Morgana does counter all that bullshit. And she is not really the best mid laner at the moment, so as a support she really does the job. In her favor, she is pretty easy to get poke off and easy to proc spell thieves passive to get some extra gold. She is strong at pushing towers, she is very difficult to get engaged on, especially against a single target CC. She has a strong peel and teamfight presence, black shield that allows one carry to ignore all sorts of crowd control, and a 3 seconds hard CC which can rather be spammed, which is of course his snare. So Morgana is that I wanted to say something but I didn't, it was a curse again. Morgana is that champion that can protect your AD carry, make him immune to CC during the laning phase in teamfights, and when the teamfights comes, she can just hit one snare, go in the middle of the teamfight, activate her ultimates and Zhonya's, and she has the presence, but she can peel at the same time. Very good support, very good support. Sadly, against her, sometimes you need some fast reactions to land your skill shot, which is your snare. She has short auto attack range. The passive is not really useful as a support. She is rather weak before level 3. If you miss your snare, it may be a problem for you, so you rely a lot on hitting it. She has low damage before level 6. Good players can abuse the long cooldown of your black shield. For instance, once you use it, the enemy support may try to engage while it is on cooldown, and if he knows that it is in cooldown, and the early levels of black shield can be broken pretty easily. Normally not really in the bot lane unless you are playing against the AP jungler, but yeah, be careful with that. So let's move to the next one and the last one. The last in my list, but for sure not the least, is my favorite support of all time. His name is Trash. With the 01614 mastery page, the flash exhaust, and sometimes the ignite. Yes, Trash, the playmaker. I almost didn't want to put him here because, yeah, even though he is really great, his win ratio is not that good, but the reason behind it is because he's mechanically challenging and people need to know how to play him to actually perform well on him. But I decided to put him here because he is just too good to be put outside of this list. You hit one good Q, one good hook, you can engage like a god. Your hooks, your box, your flay passive for the rest, everything on him is great. Plus you have a unique skill which is the lantern, which can save your teammates many times. But you know Trash, you know Mad Life, you know that all, so let's go to the pros and cons. To start off, he is super tanky in the mid and late game once you get a few items and souls. He can be a very aggressive lane bully, can make or break team fights by catching people off guard and getting hooks onto the enemy that are out of position, brings a lot of CC to the team fights and protection and utility provided by the lantern that is actually kinda overpowered, is a ranged support with high damage auto attacks, which means even if you miss your death sentence you can still bully your lane by harassing them from a distance or lanterning your jungle into a gank. And without doubt, the funniest support you can be playing. Sadly against him, he is skill shot reliant. There are easier champions that do what Thresh does, just not as well as he does at the moment, but yeah, they're easier, so maybe it compensates. He takes a lot of practice and hundreds of games to be mastered, simply because of many skill shots he has, combos and a very steep learning curve, and he has no sustain in the lane. All or nothing champion, basically. So this is my top supports for the patch 5.2. Remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me comments, what do you think about this list, which one is the next you want to see, top or AD carry, because those are the two missing. Remember to see my jungle and mid lane ones. This video was made for you as always. My name has been Zadarkus, be awesome and stay awesome. Remember to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.